Hey there, everyone. Welcome to the Night Sky This Week show. Again, thanks so much for tuning in, spending a few moments of your time with me, Andrew Fazakis, the Night Sky Guy. I'm here every week on Facebook, Twitter, and Twitch, basically talking about what you can see in the heavens above this week. I've got the chat room open. I see folks everywhere. I see where you're coming from. I love seeing all the people from everywhere around the world. We've got Teresa from Minneapolis, Minnesota. We've got Andrew from the Canary Islands. We've got Judy from Halifax, Nova Scotia. John from the UK. Michigan, Cynthia. Montreal, my hometown. Emily, nice to see you too. It's great to be here in Montreal, Canada. We've had a great run of wonderful weather for a while. Now it's kind of overcast, had some rain, haven't been able to do too much in terms of sky watching. Of course, I did see the moon on Saturday. Did you guys go out to do celebrate International Observe the Moon Night put on by NASA? With many partners around the world, including Astronomers Without Borders, of course, which is I'm a part of. It was really beautiful to see the waxing gibbous moon. It's just past the quarter phase, gives off a beautiful, beautiful view, even with the naked eye. Between the trees here where I am, I live in a forested area, the suburbs of Montreal, Canada, and it's just shining beautifully through the trees. Got to take out the telescope a little bit, did some observing, showed my daughters as well a little bit of the moon. It's a lot of fun. It's great to do with a family. Observing the moon, it's fantastic. And of course, we're heading towards a full moon this week on Thursday. So check out the moon. It's a great place to start. Again, lots of people from around the world, from Greece, Wisconsin, Texas, New Jersey, Holland, everyone from around the world. How is your stargazing? Have you been able to do stargazing? I know a lot of my friends out in the western part of North America, of course, with all the wild fires, forest fires out there. My heart goes out to you, all of you. I hope you have some clear skies coming up in the near future, and those winds die down, and the forest fighters that are out there working so hard basically do their job and been able to hopefully get rid of these awful fires that are wreaking havoc along the west coast of the United States. I've actually here in the east experienced many days of smoke, even here in Montreal, all the way on the other side of the continent. It's been impacting sky watching. A lot of people, millions, tens of millions of people are being impacted across the continent by a lot of that smoke, for sure. Got Carrie from Ottawa tuning in, from Austin, from Alberta, Hina from India. Nice of you to join us, Hina. It's great. It's just really is wonderful to see you guys from around the world. So why don't we just dive in right away of what we can see in the night sky. Now, right off the bat, before I start talking about individual events, objects, and things, there's one really cool sky watching event, and I'll turn over to my friends at spaceweather.com. Show you here. I've got their page up here at spaceweather.com. Of course, what are they specializing in is space weather. And one of the biggest types of space weather, of course, is auroras, northern lights, right, guys? So this is something cool. There is a geomagnetic storm or activity that is currently underway. It's this cloud of charged particles from the sun has hit the magnetic field bubble around the Earth. And this has caused this buffeting with all these charged particles has caused some auroras to be seen in the higher Arctic regions. And NOAA forecasters, these fellows out at the NOAA administration, basically the National Oceanic Atmospheric Administration, sort of like the earthly counterpart of NASA. They have forecasters looking at space weather, and auroras are in the offing for a lot of northern region. Here's some beautiful photographs. Here, I'll show you moving into their photo gallery. Highly recommend spaceweather.com. Check out these beautiful views. Most of them are from really northern areas. Like this one was submitted this morning to their gallery. Just a fantastic shot by Todd Salat from Salcha, Alaska. Don't know if I'm pronouncing that right, but it is in Alaska. Beautiful. Of course, in Edmonton, Alberta, Canada, Joel Weatherly submitted this to this wonderful photograph as well. Bringing that up. Let's see if I can get that. Bring that in, but you can see some auroras, faint auroras that are visible on that photograph as well, along with the Pleiades, Mars, and maybe even a meteor. But a lot of submissions from Norway. I mean, check that out. Beautiful stuff from Norway. So you got to be in the higher Arctic regions to see this. Definitely visible. Semir mentioning also visible in North Quebec, definitely. And here you can see a view of where the aurora is currently visible. This is a really good map available again on spaceweather.com. I'll put a link to it below, but you can see where the aurora donut is visible right now over Northern Europe. It's starting to be visible, and here in North America also quite far up north above the Arctic Circle. So does this mean most of us will see it? Probably not, but it's something that is currently buffeting the Earth. And forecasters are saying they may be G1, G2 class storms, which means that they're pretty, low to moderate level geomagnetic storms that indicate there could be some chances for auroras being visible September 28th and 29th. So as we go through this stream of charged particles that were let go from the sun, basically. So that is really, something that you should look forward. We're heading into the fall season now. We started the fall season here in the Northern Hemisphere, heading deeper and deeper in as we go through the next few weeks. We have more opportunities to be able to see auroras. So that's something that's, really one of the best events that you can, most awe-inspiring events, is to see northern lights. So it's something worth keeping tabs on. Going on to spaceweather.com, they usually give about a 2-3 day notice that something is potentially on its way, a solar activity, a stream of charged particles coming off of the sun. And then if Earth happens to be in the right position, then that cloud of charged particles hits the Earth's magnetic field, and some of those charged particles can then funnel their way naturally through the magnetic field that surrounds the Earth through the North and South Pole. And the deeper they get into the atmosphere, they hit the molecules of the atmosphere. These charged particles from the sun do hit these molecules, and they cause them to glow like a neon sign. Same physics going on. And so these charged particles then create an excitement in the molecules in the atmosphere, nitrogen and oxygen atoms, and they begin to glow. And that's what we see as northern lights or aurora borealis. So that's something that we're heading into the season that's naturally going to have more and more opportunities for potentially seeing auroras. And even if you're living in the south of the border from Canada, where I am, in northern US states, there are opportunities to see northern lights. And I'm wondering, put the question out to you guys. Have you seen auroras? Have you personally ever experienced northern lights? They're fantastic. They're just absolutely beautiful. So what do we have here in the chat room? They're saying the Aurora app is great, gives all the information in one little app. Oh, okay, Austin. What is it called? The Aurora app? I would check that out, definitely. If you could, maybe Austin, you could share a link with that. That would be great. I'd love to learn more about that app, definitely. Despina from Belgium says it's cloudy. Oh, well, we're at the mercy of the heavens, aren't we, when it comes to sky watching? That is for sure. Aurora season. Oh, and here we go. Tess says that from Sweden, Aurora season has started here. Lucky guys. Norway, Sweden, definitely, Denmark, great areas to do sky watching, particularly the northern lights. Wonderful tourism industry, actually, in these northern countries where there's a huge industry related to looking at aurora borealis and going on cruises, land trips, just fantastic locations in some of these Scandinavian countries to be able to see. And here in Canada too, in the northern parts of Canada, like the Yukon, Northwest Territories, really beautiful sky watching opportunities, tourism opportunities, definitely. So definitely, yeah, definitely, as Wolfgang says, on my bucket list. Definitely, I think so. It should be when it comes to sky watching auroras, definitely. So looking to go and see what we can see in the night sky. Let's see if we can turn to the uh, program here that I use. This is Sky Safari. A lot of you ask what I'm using. I'm using Sky Safari on my MacBook. And that's what I'm sharing here with you guys. So, what do we have in store this week? Well, this is the setup for the sky as it stands on September 28th. Okay, Monday. So, if you're watching this live, that's tonight. If you're watching this archived, and maybe it's later this week, turning into the first week of October, well, this is something that there's going to be stuff here that you can still see, even though some things move around, like the moon particularly moves fairly quickly from day to day. A lot of these other things are still going to be visible. For instance, Saturn and Jupiter still pinning down the southwestern evening skies. You can't miss them. They look like two super brilliant stars in the southwest. Jupiter being the brighter of the two, Saturn right next to it. Just a wonderful pairing of planets. Perfect starting point for those of you that may have a new telescope and you want to point it at some fun stuff. Saturn and Jupiter are going to be big pleasers for you to be able to see. So that's pinning down the south in the evening. And of course, what we have on Monday, September 28th, is a near full moon, a waxing gibbous moon. Zooming in on it, you can see there's what the moon looks like on Monday night. That's the phase waxing gibbous. It's heading towards a full moon in just a few days. And this is something that you can see anywhere around the world where you are. Find the moon, and your orientation of where some of these objects are could be a little different, perhaps a little bit farther up in the sky, higher for you where you're watching, or maybe lower to the horizon. You have to remember that we live on this big ball that we call the Earth, and our orientation of what the sky looks like will be different depending on where you are. So I'm located in Montreal, Canada, on the 45th latitude line. And that means that I'm halfway between the equator and the North Pole. And this means that this is the view that I would see approximately, the same kind of view for folks in, say, New York City, Toronto, Washington, D.C., very similar, Rome, London, the same around the same kind of sky that you're seeing here. Slightly lower, maybe towards the horizon, or maybe a little bit higher up in the sky, some of these objects are. But you would still see, and those of you in the southern hemisphere, the orientation will be different, but the distances, the apparent separation between a lot of these objects will be the same, and their orientation will be similar as well. So really interesting stuff. Oh, we've got a very interesting comment here about northern lights. Daniel says, I was on a commercial flight to South Dakota in 1975, and the pilot reported seeing the northern lights. I was on the south side of the plane during the flight. I looked for them after we landed, and I didn't see them. Right. So sometimes the orientation up in flights, definitely flights going up 30, 40, 50,000 feet above the Earth, you get to see potentially less light pollution, darker skies. A lot of times auroras can be very faint. The most common color is green, and then pinks, yellows, oranges, but green by far is the most common color for auroras, and to be visible with the naked eye particularly, that will be the most common. And getting back here, so you would look towards the northern horizon, by the way, so opposite from you turn around from where we're looking here on this map here. So you'll see the moon. What will be interesting is the near full moon on Monday night will be smack dab right sandwiched between Mars, visible on the left of the moon, far left. Now these are far left in the eastern sky. Will be a very bright orange star. That is the planet Mars. Now, Mars is really amazing. We'll talk more about it in a few minutes, but that's on the left of the moon. And then to the far right are these two brilliant star-like objects, which are in fact not stars, but planets. Planet Saturn and planet Jupiter. So that is going to be really, really cool to be able to see all this whole set of solar system objects, our neighboring worlds, Mars, the moon, Saturn, and Jupiter. And if we move this forward in time by a day, you'll see the moon will be pairing up with a wonderful telescopic planet. So you need a small telescope or perhaps very good binoculars under dark skies. Look for right above the moon, and it'll be very bright, the moon. So this will be a challenge, a serious challenge. You may not be able to see it, but if you have a telescope and you scan above the moon, the planet Neptune will be there. And Neptune is actually the farthest major planet in the solar system, especially that's since Pluto has been demoted to a dwarf planet. So all the major planets, that's of course Mercury, Venus, Earth, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, right? And Uranus, and then Neptune. Uranus and Neptune are considered ice giants. They're at the fringe of the solar system. This is the farthest major planet, and it has this distinctive greenish blue color. You can see that in this graphical representation. If I zoom in, you can see there's the moon, and there's Neptune. You'll notice that there's a lot of other stars that will be visible around Neptune through your telescope view or your binocular view, but there'll be one that will be definitely greenish blue in color, and it'll have a little disk if you view it through a telescope, and that is Neptune. And it's amazing to think that it's 4.3 billion kilometers away, and it takes light 240 minutes to reach your eye. Imagine 240 minutes to reach your eye from Neptune. That's how far away. And the speed of light, remember, is 300,000 kilometers per second. So that's pretty impressive. That's pretty impressive. So that is what you're going to be able to see with the moon on Tuesday. This is Tuesday, September 29th. The moon will have parked itself very close to the planet Neptune. Now remember, the moon is much closer. It's only 1.3 seconds that it takes the light to get here. So it's 1.3 light seconds away, we would say. And then while Neptune's 4.3 billion kilometers away, which means it takes 240 light minutes. That's the distance, 340 minutes for the light to get here from Neptune. So Austin's saying, justice for Pluto. I know. Why does demoted? That's a whole other controversy about the demotion of Pluto. See, because what the whole idea, for those of you that maybe out of the loop on Pluto, it was demoted about a decade ago after a lot of controversy amongst professional astronomers, saying that we're finding a lot of Pluto-sized worlds out in the solar system, in the fringes, out where Pluto lives. It's called the Kuiper Belt, and it's kind of like the leftover junkyard of the solar system. So everything that didn't make into becoming a planet about 4.5 billion years ago, when our planet and all our neighboring worlds like Mars and Jupiter and all those guys formed, the leftover bits and pieces became part of course, the donut-shaped asteroid belt between Mars and Jupiter. A lot of other asteroids moving around, and then there's the Kuiper Belt outside on where Pluto is at the surrounding the solar system. There's a donut-like belt, and there's thousands and thousands, or maybe even hundreds of thousands of these bits and pieces of leftover debris. Some of them are worlds onto their own, and we consider them as asteroids. But now a lot of them are we're finding some that are the size of Pluto. And so if Pluto was discovered today, not a century ago, well, if it was discovered today, we wouldn't consider it a planet necessarily. So we demoted it into a dwarf planet, and it's a whole new class of worlds in our solar system. That's in a nutshell what that's about. And there's sort of like a bunch of kind of checkoff lists. There's a checkoff list of the characteristics that you need to have to be considered a bona fide major planet. That astronomers, the International Astronomical Union, this global body of professional astronomers that give names to things like constellations and new worlds that we discover, like exoplanets and things like that. This governing body of astronomy has this whole new classification system to how do you classify a planet, a major planet or a dwarf planet. So just something interesting to put that out for you guys. But I hear you. Justice for Pluto, Austin. Got it. So that's the moon, basically. This is the setup for the moon for Tuesday night. And then if we move forward, this is where it gets interesting later this week. We see that by Thursday, the moon is approaching Mars. And by Friday, this is Friday, October 2nd, check this out. Look at this. Isn't this beautiful? We've got the moon and Mars close up. So this is going to be absolutely beautiful on Friday, October 2nd. This is after your local nightfall, wherever you are around the world. This is with the moon just past officially its full moon phase. You will see it next to planet Mars. It'll be a beautiful sight, the two together. If you have binoculars, because of the very bright glare from the moon, it'll help you see it. You can even, you know what, one of the interesting things that you can do, if you're out there and experiment, you can just, with your outstretched thumb, is cover the moon. So the glare of the moon, and see how well you can make out planet Mars next to it. That orange, ruddy, very distinctive ruddy color of Mars will pop out much better if you just cover the disk of the moon with your thumb. Try it out. See I'd love to hear what your experience is. So that's an observing challenge I put forward to you this week, guys. All my stargazing friends out there, is check out Mars and the moon together. And all of this action, remember, is happening in the evening skies. This is in the east. So as soon as darkness falls, you'll notice the moon rising in the eastern sky, and you'll see this beautiful pairing of these two worlds together. Now, Mars is really interesting. I just, talking about Mars a little bit, Mars will go behind the moon for those of you that are in South America, and certain parts of South America will experience what we call a lunar occultation, where Mars will appear to kind of hide, play peekaboo with the moon. And so that will happen on October 2nd, on the evening of October 7th. I'll put a sky chart underneath here in the comments section so that you'll see that. And for those of you that are just tuning in, welcome. I'm Andrew Fizakis, the Night Sky Guy, here with your sky this week, Night Sky this week, as we are every Monday, talking about what to look forward to in your night sky. So hello if you're watching on Twitch, on YouTube, or Facebook. Great of you to join us, and please let us know where you're watching from. Got the chat room open. I see everyone on there chatting away. Teresa's going, I wish I could figure out how to use my telescope to work. Yeah, we should have a session on telescopes a little bit, shouldn't we? That would be something I think a lot of you guys would love to see. Can't wait for Friday, Linda says, to be able to see. Hoping for clear skies. Cross your fingers. That's it. So on Friday, that's what's going to say. And of course, Mars is going to be in the news a lot in the next couple of weeks. Why? Because Mars is heading into what's called opposition, which means the distance between Mars and Earth will be at its shortest for the last 2 years. Every 2 years, our two planets come together. So if I go into the orbit view here, magically. There's Mars as it appears if we were in orbit around it. And then if we zoom out, we'll be able to kind of see it in relation to a lot of other planets as well. There we are. And you can see if we would look at it from above, maybe I can turn off the Milky Way here and you can see it more clearly. This is the view from above. So if you see, there's the sun, there's the Earth, and there's Mars. And this alignment is what we call opposition. So the sun rises in the east as Mars sets in the west. So Mars will rise in the east as the sun sets in the west. So it's called opposition when they're opposite in the sky here from our vantage point as sky watchers here on Earth. This is called Mars opposition. And this setup where Mars and Earth are like this closest to each other happens every 2 years. So this is where we can get, as sky watchers, you and me, get our best views of Mars. And this is why Mars appears so darn bright in our skies. It's because it is literally close. It is, how close is it to us? It's about well, not this one, but it's just over, I think, 60 million kilometers away. We'll set it up here. Watch our view from here. It's 62, actually, 62.2 million kilometers away. And that's almost about as closest that it can come to us. The closest, I think, is like 57, 58 million kilometers is the absolute closest. But at 62 million, that's darn close for Mars. And that means that we see it very bright in our skies. And for anyone with a telescope, you get to see it even better. So if you had a small telescope, you can point it at Mars and you'd see it as a little disk like I'm showing you here. Something like this. This is the kind of view that you would see of the planet Mars. And you can see it as a disk as you see this in this planetarium animation. And you see some features on the surface of Mars. This is really cool. You see some darker blotches and lighter features, and they all mean something. And if you look very, very carefully, you may notice at the bottom a tiny little white spot. And that tiny white speck at the bottom there is the south pole of Mars. It's covered with carbon dioxide ice. And that you can actually see the frozen south pole of Mars, believe it or not, through a small telescope. You can see the light deserts are the lighter parts that are covered with dust and sand immensely. And then you have the highlands of Mars that are very cratered, open, bare, rocky areas around. It's really, really just fantastic to see this through a small telescope with your own eyes. It doesn't get any better. It's really a wow moment to be able to see features. And it doesn't happen that often. This particular opposition that we're going under in 2020 with Mars is a very favorable one for backyard sky watchers. Mars's disk looks as wide almost as it can get so that we can see features with a backyard telescope. And where is Mars? On Friday, it'll be right next to the moon. So even when the moon parts, and if you're watching this, on Tuesday or Wednesday, and it's not Friday yet, you can see Mars still there. The moon is could be farther away from Mars, and that's okay because Mars will be in that same part of the sky from night to night. So you guys can see as much as you want out of Mars as long as you get clear skies. Now, what's interesting, one more thing that's worth looking at, another planet that the moon is going to be gliding past, and another challenge for you guys is Uranus, the green giant planet. And Uranus is very interesting because, again, it's an ice giant. It's a large world that is at the edge of the solar system. And it is the 7th planet from the sun, and it is 2.8 billion kilometers away. So it means that light takes 167 minutes to reach your eye, and the moon will be parked fairly close to Uranus, so that with a pair of binoculars, that's all you need, is an average pair of binoculars to just scan to the left of the moon. And again, this is Saturday, October 3rd. Saturday, October 3rd, just look for the moon, and then with your binoculars, scan to the left of the moon, and you'll see Uranus. It looks like a distinctly green disk to through binoculars and through a small telescope. You will see it as a tiny green disk like you see here. There's nothing else that looks like it, and it's very similar to the experience with Neptune. However, Uranus is much brighter. Uranus is a much brighter planet than Neptune is. It's got it is officially about 5.8 magnitude, which means that it's on the verge of being able to just being able to be seen with the naked eye in very dark skies. You have to have extremely dark skies, which most of us don't. So that's why I say try it with binoculars. It's a much easier affair to see it. And what you're looking for is a very faint, green, distinctly green colored star-like object that will be a disk through a small telescope. Once you know where you're looking, which is basically just to the left of the moon. Again, this is on October 3rd, Saturday night. This is something that you'll be able to see in the east in the earlier even part of your evening. So you've got a whole slew of stuff to see this week, guys. I see folks from South Carolina, Ohio, everywhere around the world, Salt Lake City. I hope you guys are going to have clear skies. Yes, I know. Uranus jokes. Cue the Uranus jokes. I know, Austin. That's why I say Uranus. I don't say it the other way. Believe me, going out to teach elementary school kids about the planets, there's always a joke related to the green ice giant called Uranus. That's how I pronounce it. Anyways, guys, this was great. That's the end of for today. If you're interested in the night sky, don't forget to check out my book. Where is it? Right here. Backyard Guide to the Night Sky. If it's available wherever books are sold, it's a great pocket guide, a handy little guide that you can take out under the sky, sit back on the couch and learn a few things about stars, constellations, how to find them. About basic equipment requirement if you're interested to go beyond just the naked eye and maybe use binoculars or telescopes. There's a lot of things in this little book. It's a pocket book right here, available from wherever books are sold online. It's out by National Geographic. I'm totally stoked about it because I've got decades of experience of sky watching and tips and tricks that I've learned from other really experienced sky watchers that has served me so well over the years, and some science in there too, because the awe and inspiration that the night sky offers all of us is incredible, especially under such difficult times, guys, right? I mean, here we are, we're still in the pandemic, living with COVID, coronavirus, and it's affecting all of us. Wherever you are, it doesn't matter. There's some effect in our life, either restrictions of travel, self-isolation, battling the disease itself. It affects us all. And even if we're all healthy and safe, it still can cause stress, financial stress, and it causes mental stress. And so I think it's important being able to go outside and look at the sky, connect with the cosmos. It gives you a sense of peace and tranquility, at least for a few moments of your day. So that's just something I'll put out there for you guys. Thank you so much for joining me again every week. I'm here at 1 p.m. Eastern Time every Monday on Facebook, on Twitter, on Twitch too. And I love seeing your comments. I'm going to be going through your comments. I'll be putting some sky charts this week too for all of these events that we're talking about. And if there's anything coming up, breaking news about the sky and astronomy, I'll post that as well. Thanks so much for joining me, and I'll be here next week, same time. And until the next video, I wish all of you, what else? Clear skies. Bye-bye.